according to Antares Scorpions, hopefully pretty soon.
Alright, well, that sounds good. Hey everybody, welcome to another Major League Mech Warrior cast. I'm joined by the Magician today, and he is streaming on his own channel, so be sure to multi-twitch that.
Hello everybody.
Yeah, this is going to be 228th Blackwatch versus Antares Scorpions in the redo of Week 8. I guess both teams are short on players, so both are going to be playing off-roster players. Sort of wish that it happened in the weeks before, but hey, whatever. Shit happens, and I hope this is a good match. This will be HPG Manifold. I don't know why the picture of HPG Manifold is still wrong, because I totally changed it in my files. It apparently didn't update, so oh well.
Yeah, mine did the same thing, and then finally it updated once I think I turned it all off and then back on again.
You know,
but
I think I'm gonna try saving out. I'm gonna try switching maps and then going back and see if it reloads. Try that. Nope. No clue. Alright, well, whatever.
well, so these two teams, this is the first time they would have met in this tournament. No, that's not right. I'm sorry. I was about to check it out, and I was like, in my head, yeah. So 228th Blackwatch actually defeated Antares Scorpions 2-1 earlier in the winners bracket. So that's really interesting. Now we get teams a chance for some revenge going on.
Looks like we're talking about coin flip. I really only intended coin flip to be in the finals of the like each bracket and the final match, but if you want a coin flip, I'll do a coin flip. I don't really care. I just want this week 8 done and to be moving on with this. It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's been unfortunate that it took so long to have to happen, but you know, things like that do happen. And I can understand why the teams might need some extra players, because the Antares Scorpions, they're kind of an EU and a mix. 28. I mean, they do have an EU team, but the team that's competing here is primarily their NA players. So I think they're having a hard time figuring out what time to meet up. And they've agreed to 7 p.m., which is pretty good mixed time. You know, some of the EU people that'll be between 12 and like 3 a.m., but it's at least a time what people can do on a Saturday night. And 228th was willing to play on a Saturday night, so I'm just glad this match is finally happening. I know we've been waiting on it for a while.
Yeah,
to see when it was going to get played.
That you and EMP are ready to go. I mean, on one hand, I feel like this means that the actual finals of the tournament are going to get casted with the new casting suite, which is great. I do like that. That's like the only good thing that's happening. But the rest of this definitely has not worked out as I intended. Is the title not changed? I don't know. So yeah, definitely ready to get this over with. And I guess Mango is not going to be playing tonight, so I'm going to be watching Mr. Petzold in the Mech Lab.
Okay. Just looking at the players right now, and I don't see anybody in the lobby, but...
No, I think they're waiting because they don't know what to do with the coin toss. I'm talking to a couple of them right now. It's like, I didn't really intend coin toss for semifinal matches, but if both teams want it, I'll do it. Yeah. I will do whatever it takes to get this match done. Okay. I think he is going to come to TeamSpeak. Oh, you know, it does say semifinals. Alright. This is what I get for not doing anything with these leagues for it's time to go to virtualcointoss.com then. All right. Be right back, viewers. Well, sound is back on. We're about to do the coin flip now. Let me get a little thing set up. Let me get a browser capture set up here. I mean, fuck it. I said I'd stream it, so I can't not do it. Yeah, I know. So, yep. Okay. Yeah, this is pretty sketchy, but yeah, pretty much. So there we go. I hope there aren't too many like porn tabs open or something like that, but let's yeah, let's do this. And hang on, I need to change audio input so everyone can hear you guys. Unlike last time where the coin toss was not. Yeah.
You're on like a massive delay, right? So...
Yeah, like 5 minutes. Actually, let me double check that. Let me make sure that I'm actually casting on a delay and
I think you are.
Is not
This
totally wrong. Yep. Okay.
This
good.
is awesome because our strategies is just getting better and better with all this extra time.
Yep. I'm sure that's how this is going for everybody. Oh my god.
Yeah. 2 weeks.
I am so ready.
228 has gone to work.
All right.
Massive strats.
So I guess AS gets to call the coin flip since they're the lower ranked team, and yeah, the winner of the coin toss gets to choose which side of the map they want to be on. So call it.
Heads.
Tails. So
fuck.
Panic. What do you want?
Is it bad that I showed up to the coin flip and I don't know?
Oh, that's
It's such
great.
a symmetrical map.
You know what?
Do you want to
We'll
give?
take reds. We'll take red side. It'll be fun. We'll
Okay.
go for it.
So is
That's
that
team one, right?
I don't know. I'm gonna let you guys handle that since you guys have to make the lobby.
Smurfy's red side. So yeah, team one. The
All
gamma
right.
spawn.
Perfect. Then 228th is
All right.
team 1, AS is team 2. I will see you guys in match in just a few minutes. Good luck.
All right,
Good
we'll make
deal.
the lobby,
Thanks.
Bradley.
All right, good deal. Send me an invite. I'll do it.
Okay.
User disconnected from your channel. Channel switched.
All right. So 228th is going to be team 1. AS is going to be team 2 for the first drop. Which I believe means... Let's get map tactic up here. Yeah, geez. Even this page is really wrong. It's got all the wrong pictures. I don't know why. I totally fixed this.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, so I think 228th is going to spawn up here. Their team red, I want to say.
Okay, so that side, I think most people think that side has a bit of an advantage because there's that spawn in C7 there, which can get to that E6 gate a bit quicker than the alternative spawn on the other team in like F3, which means that F4, F5, you have to really decide if you're going to shove your assaults there on that right side in there and hope and try to fight a battle early. If you're going to push all your mechs through there, just try to fight on that corner. Or maybe if you have your assaults on any other spawns for Terry Scorpions, it's going to take a long time to get into their into the actual base area, and that can give any of the advantage, momentum, and just overall pressure to the other team. So one option is to push those assaults in and then just move them off to the left, which basically takes them away from the firing line, allows the rest of your mech's time to catch up. So basically you'll take those through the gate outside to the E4 area perhaps, and hopefully then you don't get too much damage in from the early attacks from their assaults that spawn in from the D7 area.
Yeah, this is definitely an awkward map. I have never been very good, fortunately.
I think HPG is one of the more tricky maps to play, especially Conquest. There's a lot of options with Conquest on HPG because you can kind of play a sit back if you can cap maybe the other base perhaps with your lights. That is really kind of tough to do, I think, though, in a 3-all setup because that means you're only gonna have 3 lights running around. But that is one way to play it, is to try to just make the cap up in your favor and force them to come at you. There's also just playing a straight up skirmish style, and I think that's mostly what we'll see on this one, at least on the Conquest drops, will be mostly a straight up skirmish style.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Conquest and playing Conquest is that you're really leaving yourself open if you don't really fight it out in those first few minutes and at least do an equal amount of damage to them. Because, you know, see in pub games a lot of players make the mistake of, you know, I'll just run around cap for the first 5 minutes. It's like the game is over in the first 5 minutes, and if you haven't been there, chances are your team lost. It doesn't matter how many you captured for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 10-minute fight, so it's still a lot of time, and I feel like we've seen teams do weird cap strategies, like where they've taken brawlers and shoved in the middle, so now they control that cap. And they've seen some, I don't know, just throughout different leagues, seen some interesting strategies. But overall, it just comes down to the team usually who's going to be the most aggressive on the actual fighting, and the team that's going to work the angles and not get mechs picked off. Because it's really easy to leave mechs behind on this because of all the little ups and downs and areas you can get the mech stuck on. Assaults take a while to move in any of the directions, so you have to make sure that they're being covered the entire time, but they can also be pretty sneaky and show up when you're not expecting them to. There's a lot of areas where if you're higher than the opponent, you'll have an advantage, but there's areas and if you're lower than the opponent with certain mechs, and you have the advantage, so you have to be pretty familiar with those.
Oh wow, Army of One just said somebody wants him to run a 15-minute delay for future casts. Oh wow.
Nope.
No fucking way. I would just say sorry. I'm not gonna. If you want your games casted, 5 minutes is bad enough. No fucking way. You can cast your own damn matches.
Yeah, I can see the reason for it. On at least not in this league, but in other leagues, I can see the reason to have 15-minute delay. But no, the quality that you'd have to run on that would be pretty low. It's just too much memory.
No, Mr.
Yeah, they're starting to get in
Petzold.
the lobby now.
Okay. I just didn't see Mr. Petzold. I got super scared. It's gonna be okay. I am so excited for the new casting stuff. Everybody else should be too, because you guys finally get to play around with it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I mean, we have no idea what it's going to look like, how it's going to work, what's going to be different, other than the fact that anybody can go in there and start casting matches. It'll be a spectator slot, but I'm really curious. I'm hoping that they fix some of the issues with how the floating text works, how it doesn't really go away once mechs are destroyed, and I just hope there's some really nice improvements there.
I just want jump to the mech in the middle of the screen. I feel like they're not going to actually have that feature when it first goes in. It'll be like, yeah, you need to click on somebody, which is okay, fine, but really just want to go into the mech in the middle of the screen.
Yeah, that'd be really nice.
I think one of the biggest improvements they'll probably make is the way that the text is displayed, because right now it's just like this jumble of crap where you never know what's going on, and it's like done in screen space at like a fixed size. so it's just awkward depending on the distance between mechs and stuff like that. But yeah, really looking forward to those improvements. New River City, sexy as hell.
Yeah, what I'd like to see maybe is like a glowing like circle underneath mechs or something like that that shows which side they're on and stuff.
Yes, just little subtle things like that that aren't so. Right now it's just clutter. And for viewers noticing that that is not a picture of HPG Manifold, you are quite the detectives. I can't pull anything past you. I did try to fix it at the beginning. I went into the CSV file and edited it. Unfortunately, it just overwrote it for some reason, and whatever. I'll get it fixed for next time. And I'll add the other maps it doesn't have and all that good stuff. But map information, that's probably always going to be wrong. I'm pretty sure every one of those is like a copy and paste. Although, again, as always, big shout out to Farp Noodle for this whole overlay setup. And shout out to Blade Splint for making this new background that we can actually put webcams in. I would have done that today, but we sort of got set up in a really short amount of time. And I'm already rusty. I don't need any extra crap to keep track of here. Thankfully, though, automatic overlay switcher. No more overlay problems. So what do you think, Mag? How's this fight going to go down? Is 228th going to take this handily? Is it going to be a close fight? Think AS has got like a scrappy underdog chance?
Well, I think Antares Scorpions, like I said, they lost to him 2-1 previously, and if I recall, those were pretty good fights. So I think they have a chance. You mentioned Mango's not going to be here tonight. He's one of their leaders, and certainly in the EU squad, he tends to run that stuff there. So that's that's a disappointment a little bit that he couldn't be here. But you have to give 228 credit, though. They recently beat EMP 4-1 in MRVC. They are playing quite a bit and scrimming and doing everything that they need to do to get ready for matches. So I think in that case, I'd probably give the edge slightly to 228. But in this game, you never know. It could be 3-0, it could be 3-2, right? So many times drops that come down to who makes the right decision at one little point in the match, and then or maybe there'll be some rock, paper, scissors here where one team's going to go range, the other team will go brawl in situations, and you never know what's going to happen. So, for my prediction, I'm not going to make one.
I think that's the safest way to go. I don't know. I got to give it to 228th probably just because how well they've been playing lately, where honestly, those are potentially three of my favorite matches out of the entire tournament so far, or the three they played against EMP. And they lost all three, but every one of them was just nail-biter. Really thought they had it at one point. So I think they'll put up a really good fight. Although they are, like AS, short on people today. And bringing in a few others. So good stuff.
Yeah, I'm curious who's going to be different. I mean, I won't know the rosters well enough to really know the difference there, but looks like maybe even like the Beef is going to be playing with them now. So, you know, that's a player that used to be on their team and on their A team pretty much for a while. So they're all very familiar playing together.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll be a good showing one way or the other. And, I guess to anyone that doesn't know or has forgotten this rule set, first drop is Conquest 3333. The 228th picks the map side because they won the coin flip. And then the loser of every round picks the side of the map they want in the subsequent round. It's all on the same map, all on HPG. The second game is going to be Skirmish, 720 tons. Third drop is Conquest 3333. And of course, if there is a fourth game, it will be Skirmish 600 tons. And then the fifth drop is back to Conquest 33. And as much as I do love the MRBC matches for, you know, some of the mech restrictions and how it's not all Boolean whether you won or lost, like a really hard fought victory will get you a bunch of money, whereas, you know, getting totally wiped out won't. I really like that, but, you know, it does bring me back because a lot of teams have camped that I've seen, at least for a while. Whereas this league just, there's no point. There's never a match where you want to just sit there and do nothing, because Conquest is all about you're going to lose on points if you don't move, and when it's skirmish, one team is always down.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, where there's always one team that has to push. But we've seen teams do that with the when they're ahead, but they win that first conquest drop and they play a bit more of a range
definitely
camp strat. And I don't know if it's worked that well all the time. Like, I feel like because strikes are in this league, sometimes when you're being that camping team, it opens you up to the other team. Just gets to take as much time as they want to set up their attack. And we've seen, I think, a Tourmaline, we saw that happen a couple times where a team was trying to camp strat, and I think it works sometimes. You know, EMP used it against us, and we just pretty much had to do a little push on that and made it pretty close. But I think there's certain maps like this one where maybe there is some advantages of camping, because you can sit really far back, and you know that you're going to camp, so you know that you can take that really long range weaponry. With the other team, they don't know if it's going to be a camp or like a strong push, so they can't just take maybe like ER PPCs and ER large lasers expecting that long range fight. So they might take that more mid-range stuff that tends to work really well in the inside part of HPG.
Definitely, it on a couple maps I think it really doesn't work well. Like I think Crimson Strait is the notable one, where it's just got like that brilliant camp zone on the one side of the map, and you know, I mean, it's legitimate, but it's like there's no way you can knock people off of there successfully unless they fuck up. You know, it's really hard to crack that nut, even if you got the right weaponry, even if you got the right drop deck. It's just such a strong position, and there are a couple more like those. So I don't know, but I will say that it has made things fast-paced. So completely balanced or not, it has resulted in quick matches.
So I don't know what extent the teams are in the lobbies, but I know some of them are in the lobby. So hopefully we get this going.
Queenblade and Mr. Petzold are both in lobby, so I assume we'll be dropping in. If we're not dropping in 5 minutes, I'm gonna start drinking. Just letting everybody know. That's 4:30. That's close enough for me.
So do you think with the 3-all conquest, because that does kind of make some combat happen over maybe the idea of capping? I mean, the 4 caps on the exterior make it a little difficult to fight around those caps, but sometimes teams just talk towards the center area, not underneath necessarily. But do you think that one team might try to take a bit of a brawl setup, SRNs, maybe small, I don't know about small pulse, but small lasers?
They are in match,
Okay.
and I do think it's a very possible strategy to see here. You know, if they want to be aggressive, take that middle cap right off the bat, and then just sort of lock it down with Novas and, you know, other high DPS short range stuff. So it looks like 228 is going to be over there in blue. I see Stormcrows, Hellbringers, Direwolves, and Firestarters.
Yeah, so there's no chassis limits or anything like that, so they can easily, just take the 3 Hellbringers if that's what they want to go for. Looks like on AS side, we got one of the Hellbringers, a 2 large and a Gauss, so they might be looking for a little bit longer range fight.
Oh, jeez. I guess my controller isn't working, so sorry for the janky views this round, viewers. I will get this sorted out next time. Yeah, and it looks like AS is bringing pretty much the same thing. Stormcrows, Hellbringers, Direwolves.
Yeah, and 228 they did have that near spawn I talked about in the north, and they did bring all their assaults there in a Hellbringer to give them ECM cover. And it looks like AS is trying to fight a little bit they came in and a little bit to the left here. Now the direwolves are
228
getting
pushing
in.
out left. 228 definitely being aggressive here. It looks like their lighter lance is taking the top, and their heavies are just pushing left.
Yeah, I don't see substantial damage yet, just like 95%, but AS is now getting their whole 8 mechs there in a good position, whereas 228, I mean, they're just on that wall there as a nice line, and now AS is going to have to figure out how they're going to fight this, because if they just push out one at a time, they're going to get slaughtered.
Yeah. They can't
Okay,
make
one of the
trades
direwolves already
here.
65% for Antares Scorpions. That is a lot of damage to take early, because they have actually not traded back much at all. And like
And
a few
they're
percent
getting
off.
the 3 direwolves are now isolated from the rest of their team pretty much.
Yeah, 78%, 85%. Now the rest of their team's going to start pushing up here on the upper left and try to get some
Below
angles. So maybe that'll
60 on the
relieve a little bit of
Stormcrow.
pressure.
Stormcrow, first one down for AS, and Panic Button also goes down for 228 though. 2 down for
2 mechs
AS.
down now for AS. But this direwolf Chixu is down just to 1 Gauss rifle. It's another mech down for AS. So and then
3 to 3.
come back
This
there
is
to number
close.
228. A lot of kills happening now that AS has actually put a lot of pressure here from the top. This is actually going right back. I mean, 4-3 right now.
And AS's direwolves are outside of this skirmish. They've managed to push in on 228's direwolves and sort of rattle them around and get the opposite scenario happening.
AS is, or 228th is up 2 kills currently. Beef is sitting up here on the top in E5. He's
Yep,
a
totally
fresh
ignored.
Wolverine.
Level critical.
Oh, a team kill.
New target acquired.
It's 5-4 now. What it looks like, so I think that 228th has a positional advantage at this point. Now they've got him kind of surrounded, and it's going to be, I think, hard for AS to actually focus on anything. And there you see 3 kills in a row. 228th now with a pretty significant advantage.
Level critical.
Firestarter gets legged.
Yeah,
That
so after
direwolf
this,
is
it's
about to
only
go
a few mechs
down.
remaining, 3 mechs remaining.
Level critical. Target.
So
2 mechs
228th is going to pull this out, but wow, that was a hell of a fight right there. AS did a nice counter push.
Yeah, I like how they brought those mechs up there to do the pressure, and it definitely relieved it a little bit for the assaults. But at that point, the assaults did so much damage against them, and that's, you know, those are your tanks. Those are the ones that are supposed to dish out 400 or 500 damage if at all possible. And to not have that is a little bit of a frustration when you're in those mechs that you just could not actually get in any position. But well, I mean, you say that though, but Radic was able to do his damage at 660, but Silver Fox and Chixu combining for about 420 damage.
Yeah, definitely good numbers on both sides. I definitely think that one of the big advantages 228 had there was the Beef and a couple others sitting up top there. They had the high ground and they could just sort of shoot down at all the guys below, and I don't think that AS had many in that nice ignored Overwatch position. You know, everybody was sort of getting rattled around a little bit and not getting the shots they wanted to take necessarily.
Yeah, it seemed like they went through that direction, but as soon as they pushed in there, 228 did a good job spreading out, and at that point, like I said, they have them basically hitting them from 2 different angles, and when that happens, it's hard because you're trying to shield, but you can't really shield from the main person you're fighting because then somebody else is just going to shoot your CT.
So first match to 228th. That's going to bring us to Skirmish on the same map. AS gets to pick sides now. I wonder if we'll see 228th play very defensively and camp it out here because they can. I do think that it's not a bad way to go. You know, the starting areas are both pretty good defensively if you get a nice firing line.
Yeah, so 720 tons, we've seen a bit of that, like 10 heavies and 2 lights. You could even just drop down a couple of mediums there and not even take any lights. But I think on this map you want a light just for scouting, and those lights can sit up there like the Ravens sit up there on the upper walls. I think 228 has a, I think that would be a good strat, is to do the sit back style with the large lasers, because that does put the pressure on AS at least to find a solution to it. But they might feel comfortable with that last fight and just figure that they won that last fight in a straight up kind of skirmish style, and now they could just do the same thing again and try to do the same type of a fight again.
Well,
Depends how comfortable they feel playing that perimeter game, because sitting up there completely exposed in open area, it can be a little bit tense, you know, a little bit of stress, because you're kind of waiting for the fight to happen versus you being the one who brings the fight.
so I'm giving away mech bays. What's happening? Gotta do some copying and pasting magic here. And let's see. Oh, yeah, I should probably fix my controller. I really hope this does not crash my entire system. Ah, good news. But I've got to restart client, so I will be right back. Looks like AS is in lobby, 228th is not yet, so probably another 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure now on Antares Scorpions. Not just being down 1-0, but like we're talking about, if 228 goes to that camp strat, they got to figure out if they're going to take something to counter that, or if they're going to counter just their normal fight. But their mechs they took last time would have countered the normal fight, going to those 2-yard large, say, Gauss Hellbringers. And it's just, I mean, it doesn't have to be like that kind of a config, but that is an option if they think that that's going to go far, if they feel comfortable with the normal fight. But the problem with that is that those ER large are pretty long duration compared to medium lasers. They are hotter. Well, sort of, but they're not going to put as much of an alpha type damage as you would get, say, with and the heat efficiency if you go with the, say, 4 or 6 medium laser Gauss Hellbringers. So yeah, that drop deck is going to become huge here. I think any kind of a brawling option is out, because if they do camp back, you're never going to be able to push on them with SRMs.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like SRMs these days. They're just too situational, and pretty much on any map, a good team can sort of cut you. I mean, I guess, taking a few SRM mechs and covering them on the way in, you can do it, but I think it ends up being pretty risky and doesn't pay off a lot of the time. More mech bays going out because I have so many mech bays to get rid of. I just gave 4 away to Yoringa, Rick Rom, Smotty, and Bearclaw.
Yeah, so was saying in chat that not really sure what AS is going for there. I think AS is clear. I think it's clear. They were thinking they could stack up, meet up in that area before moving out. For the most part, they did have like that one first Hellbringer, I think, on that side poking. He only took like 3-4% or maybe 5%. No, not a big deal there. But the problem was is that because they were stacked there, not actually there, they have no ability to make that pressure. Soon as they started to turn that corner, 228 already probably had eight mechs staring there, and they weren't getting tons of damage while those mediums and heavies were moving out there, but they were able to just completely pin in those assaults. And now it's that type of situation that you're still waiting for the other 4 mechs to get involved, but you're basically fighting an 8v say 6 there, but without, or 8v5, but you're not even having your big mechs in that type of fight. And once they started getting the fight, 220th was able to focus them down pretty quick because pretty much every mech there could actually shoot them. I think that if AS maybe had pushed those assaults past there, like I talked about going far left immediately, they might not have had a situation where they're getting pinned in, and then they could have resituated themselves. It's a tough call to make, though.
Yeah, I just switched over to map tactic, and it's like, I feel like they were not expecting 228 to push out down towards Fox 5, down towards where they were. You know, usually it's the team coming out of the bottom side that pushes up and to the right. But in this case, they really went for it, and I think it caught AS off guard and got him pinned in a little bit. And, you know, that initial hesitation cost him.
So do you want to bring up
on that
skirmish? Can you bring up the skirmish? Or maybe I can do it too, I don't know. But
yeah, I think so. Let's see.
Yeah, it looks like I can bring skirmish. Here we go. So we don't know what side
still the
they're
right
going for,
spawns, though.
I don't think these spawns changed. Unless they did.
I think AS was in lobby first, so I want to say they are team 1. No promises, though.
Okay.
So
I think so. These spawns. I think this side. I think it's pretty even. I don't think one side has any significant advantage. When you do play with that center cap, for example, or something like that, it can have a little more of an advantage on this. But with the skirmish style, I feel like both teams are pretty, because it's pretty much a mirror match. The only problem that happens if you're right-sided is that the right-sided on this part in E5, like angling over to D5, is not nearly as good as the right-sided from D4 pointing over to E4. So it's mostly like how you move in this area, but that's just my opinion. I find that this is much better if you're right-sided to be fighting from that D4 and moving around to E4 than it is in that E5, D5. There's that big gap there. It's really hard to kind of maneuver around there. Yeah, I just don't feel like it's nearly as advantageous, but I don't know if we'll have any kind of like a rotating type fight, you know, the NASCAR style. I think the most part it's going to be one team sitting around a perimeter, or like we talked about, it's like 228 could just sit up here like G2 and just wait for Antares Scorpions to have to push in, or we're just going to have that fight like we just saw where there's some mechs, you know, over there, and then there's most of the other teams just going to sit on the perimeter in one of these general open areas.
Yeah, I mean, if I was 228th, I would probably just camp, because personally I don't like that side. I really hate like that whole area. I just feel like I can't get good shots, and it's just never feels like a good place to be. I feel like the perimeter can work, but only if you've got like a firing line up there. But I definitely don't like that lower side. I feel a lot safer in Delta 5. Not that I like Delta 4 either. Like, that's not a great place to be, but I might just camp this out if I was them. Looks like they dropped. Maybe? I don't see Mr. Petzold.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Alright, let's give it a shot. Hopefully I've got my controller issues fixed.
All right, so now we are on to 720 tons skirmish in this best of 5. Right now, 228th is up 1-0. We'll see if Antares Scorpions can tie it back up.
Oh, AS is not where I thought they were. AS is down at the lower spawn, and 228th is up where they were the first time. Timberwolves and Hellbringers. That's all I see, and a couple of trading Ravens from AS. And 228 definitely going with fire starters, a little more brawly. They got a couple of Novas, and they got Direwolves, so they've got a much more stratified drop deck. AS is built
they can
for
sit back a
speed,
little
but
more.
they're ready to camp.
They even took a streak boat Crow 228. They'd expecting maybe a few more lights, but with only those 2 Ravens, I don't know how effective he could be, but they can be pretty effective and do tons of damage against heavies as well.
So it looks like this is just going to be a trading match here. We're going to try to just get in on people and watch them shoot it out.
Target acquired.
Panic Button being caught up a little bit there. Valkyrie took some damage as well as Hellbringer. Panic Button down to 83%. Antares Scorpions, I think if they actually pushed out wider, kind of like what 228 did, they'd have an advantage here. They don't want to have too many mechs sitting too back on this. They want to control that corner, so if 228 tries to move from there, that they will get tagged.
Definitely 228 sort of backing off, it looks like, as well. They're retreating, sort of turtling up back in their corner. They realize that AS has got a trading deck, and they're not gonna engage in that. They know they're gonna lose. So good call.
So
on
Panic
their
Button
part.
is wielding a 2 ERPPC Ultra AC5 Timberwolf. Not something I would have expected. Maybe more of a sit back style mech. I'm not really sure what their strat here is going to be from this spot.
AS is nothing but ER large lasers, Gauss. I mean, it's full trade.
Airstrike online.
Very unorthodox for AS, who really likes brawling. I mean, they can do both, but
Yeah, they're more known for the brawling.
and 228 out their gate. They're getting the hell out of there. I think they've they don't want any part of that. So we're gonna see the gate ambush.
I'll see how far they actually decide to set up. If they set up on this total back wall, it'll be a little bit be a completely different kind of drop than what they're doing right now. But they're actually sitting at the gate and they're hoping that AS will come through a firing line. But now AS, if they can scout this out properly, use their speed, they could just come through the other gate and not give them a time to really switch up I guess how they're fighting it.
Those fire
These
starters
direwolves
staying
take
on
a
the
long
back
time to
though.
switch over.
Queenblade definitely has eyes on the back, and I think if those Ravens even tried to come through the back, they'd get jumped. So this is kind of an awkward place for AS to be. Then again, those fire starters are way out there. I mean, if AS just went balls in right now, then 228 would be down 2 mechs for probably a good 15-30 seconds.
Yeah, I don't think that's enough of an advantage though to push through here. I think right now you can't really push through here until you get some scouting. What they need to do is get these Ravens, try to get the Ravens up. They can walk, and maybe let's see here. Yeah, there's not too much. I mean, they could kind of scout it. What they could do is just come through one of these gates, start poking through, just working their way around and seeing those positions set up. They got to get more information. Even a UAV, if they throw up some UAVs, they might get an idea. But they have really split these. They split the Direwolves, one on each side. They have the Novas, but it's pretty long range weapons here. I'm gonna look at some of these other mechs on AS, 228, because
I think 228 definitely has a close range advantage. I mean, AS is just all ER larges and stuff. It's not going to go well in a close range engagement for them.
they do have one. Okay, so even 228, they took this Nova with small lasers, so they are trying to set. This is like I think their whole overall strat in the beginning was maybe to poke early and then to pull this back and just make AS have to fight in a narrow area. Yeah, they got 2 Novas with small lasers. This is a really interesting strat. Not something that I necessarily expected.
Ravens and Hellbringer going in the back gate. So now Ed Meister's going to see him. Ed is scouting. So if he sees their split, you know, the main 228 force may just say fuck it and push in because they've got the advantage. We're going to see if this risky play going backwards is going to work. I feel like Ed is just waiting until they're...
Yeah, I think that's that difficulty. Whenever you split your team around, is that if they can push on your main force before your other team can swing around and get in that fight as well, you're going to have a big deficit there. So I don't know how AS is going to have to fight this. It seems like they want to split it, but not be known that they're splitting. So if they send like 2 more mechs over there and then have the other mechs sitting here, they can start poking with that side and make 228 have to choose.
And it's sort of what's going on. I wonder if 228 is maybe because it's like if they time the push perfectly, it's just going to be 2 sets of ER large mechs coming around the corners, which is, I guess, not bad, but they're not eager to push in. They're definitely just going to hold this position. I thought they might go for it when they knew they were split, but...
Over half the time has now been used up. AS, they only need 1 kill, so that could be part of the choice here is just try to get a nice strike down with the split
Ravens
up.
are coming in. There's going to be these lights are going to get jumped on. We'll see what happens, but I feel like they're really going to play it cautious.
Well, they can't jump. They could jump on with the streaks, but they can't jump on them with the lights necessarily.
Fire starters and storm crows coming out. Here we go. I think it's that street crow. Yep. That street crow is going to nail that raven in 1 more volley.
If they got the Hellbringer there, they could actually down this crow pretty quick here. But on the other side, is going to have to want to push up here pretty soon. Otherwise, you are going to lose this mech here, and that's what's going to happen if 5 Dog Knight is going to go down and give 228 kill advantage. Nothing too big. I mean, it's just one of the lights, not a huge
main
issue
force
for this
is
fight.
sitting still. Neither. Oh, AS might be pushing through the gate momentarily here.
I mean, that is one of the choices we haven't really talked about. Is
Yep,
you could just
here
go
they
for a
come.
draw. Oh.
Oh, Bradley, first one through, and that.
Instantly just dying as it
Man, this push they pussied out on this push and just sort of got stuck in the gate. Ooh.
I think you have to shove into mechs here, like choose a side and just shove.
Yeah,
at
you
it.
can't. I mean, look at that. They're just getting struck to death. You can't do this in a league with strikes. They're. Oh man, another strike. Yeah.
So now one person pokes forward and he becomes the easy target, and then another mech pokes forward and that's the easy
and
target.
then he's the easy target. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is not going to go. This
No.
is going to be a complete blowout.
I mean, those mechs behind now are getting shots, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think the strikes there just fucking destroyed AS. They needed to get the hell out of that door. You can't do
Yeah. Now
that.
228 is going to mostly. Let's see. Their assaults are
moving
turning
in.
around. They're definitely going to move in and try to clean this up.
Yep. We're on Michaelius for 228th. Nine 228's favor, and it's just the 3 flankers right now. Most likely to suck in that Stormcrow. Goes down. Both of his legs got popped in 1 volley, I believe. Now it's Ravens versus Fire Starters.
Because now that it's best of 5, so I mean it's too late to even mention it. I mean to really talk about it, but as an option. But this is best of 5. You know, best of 3. You had a fight. Best of 5. You could actually choose to change it to just go to 2-1, and not actually engage. They could have sat back the entire time and let it go 2-1, and then they would be back at another skirmish drop, right? They'd go into that 620 tons one. So if you didn't feel like you liked that fight that you had, they could have chosen to sit back. But no, it's just one mech about to die here, and they did get a kill though.
Target destroyed.
Yeah, definitely an interesting way to do it if you did decide to go that way. AS did pull off 1 kill, but handy victory for 228th.
Yeah, plenty of nearly fresh mechs remaining at the end of 228. So the result was never in doubt. I think once they started that kind of tentative push there, they definitely did not commit to their push. Would it have gone better for them if they had? Maybe it would have gone better for them. I think it would have gone better, but I don't think they necessarily would have won that. I think that 228 had exactly the situation they wanted, with those small laser novas sitting up front, assault sitting on the far back sides. They didn't have to worry that much about the Ravens because they had that streak boat there as well as the fire starters to mostly push them off that back, any kind of back shot. So well done. Well, good strat by 228.
Definitely well played on their part. I do agree that there was probably nothing they were going to do. Just looking at the drop decks, I don't think AS had much of a chance of pulling it out there. I guess before I keep talking, last round of mech bays for the day, since I did the other 2 in stream chat. I'm telling you now, go to stream chat and type no pants. I will check in like 5 minutes. And yeah, but I don't think they could have done it. I think that push though, that was a really bad push. That was like a pug style terra therma push where it was just a traffic jam and nobody wanted to be the first one in and die, and nobody wanted to just go in. It was like Maybe in a league without strikes, it may have gone not so terribly, but when there's strikes, you're just begging to die. Guess I might as well recap this on Map Tactic. So, again, 228th up top. Really bad at drawing. Alright. So AS actually took that sort of backfiring line right there to begin with and, you know, started trading with 228. They were full trade deck, all ER larges and Gauss, one large, maybe one or two large laser ravens. It was very pokey. Initially, 228 set up pretty wide, had a few extra mechs over here on the peaking side. And when they sort of didn't do so great in that first engagement, although it wasn't, you know, heavily in AS's favor, they just decided, AS has got trading stuff, back out the gate and camp it out there. And they had a couple here, a couple here, and a couple here. It was really good defensive setup. Had their lights post up, one of them there. AS moved up and took the top. They had one lance sort of flank around back and cause problems. But then the AS push came and they never made it past here. They just stopped and got struck, and that was about it. They did get one kill on that Stormcrow in the back, but that was about it. And now that I look at it again, there are at least 3 or 4 penises on this recap, so the Hog Wild viewers. For the record, I think that one's the best one. The most misshapen.
Well, now Antares Scorpions will be back to the 3-all conquest, and they'll be able to choose that northern spawn if they want, and they can see if they can make better use of that spawn, and try to take some of the advantages I think that spawn has to try to get a win out of here against 228th.
If I was them, I'd be really tempted to take a really brawly deck. It's lots of pulse lasers, fire starters, stuff like that. I feel like maybe they can play this like skirmish, but I don't know. I think they need to change it up. I want to see a full brawl. I want to see those cap points used for something.
Yeah, I don't know. I would be surprised here if AS decides to go with the brawl. I mean, you've lost 2 drops. What else is there except for another drop, right? So you could just try throwing something out there that you haven't done so far, see how that mixes up. But with that 3-all, it's hard. I mean, you're going to be trying to brawl. If you take brawl, say brawl Timbies or something, or maybe brawl Hellbringers, it's kind of hard to push in on a team, I think, here with that. With the direwolves sitting there, you know, you're staring at direwolves as you're trying to push in on them. That's a lot of damage coming at you. You usually will lose at least a couple of mechs before you're able to start shooting SRMs out. It's a tough call, but at the same time, their range on that first drop didn't really work. But I can't even talk about the second drop much. I think they have to they have to completely get the second drop out of their brain, because that's not a normal style of a drop. The pressure was all on them to move. If they didn't have to fight it, it could have been a different result. At least that's how they have to be thinking about it. And so now they just have to think about what's going to give us the best chance to win. Is it going to be playing this range game and try, like the first one, try to do that a little bit better? Or is it going to be totally mix it up, throw off some heavy pressure against 228 by bringing some more brawl mechs? I think it's a tough choice, because if you go brawl, I mean, you got to decide how are those assaults going to get involved. Are they going to come late? Are they going to be waiting until the brawl starts and then they're going to push in? Or are they just going to be moving up at the same time? Are they going to be slowing down basically the brawl, but because they have to wait for those direwolves to catch up? It's a lot of I think difficult choices, and I think brawling is still one of the more difficult things to pull off in this game, because it requires so much timing to go right.
Definitely. I think if they do it, they need to use the cap points to sort of force 228 to either split up or go where they want to go. I think they definitely have to control that game and fight on their own terms, you know, like in the underground, if they wanted to do that, or something like that. Something where brawling actually has a chance, because you're absolutely right. You know, crossing in the open, you know, you're down 2 or 3 guys by the time you get there. It doesn't matter if you have more firepower in close when 2 or 3 of your guys are dead. And I'm sending out the final round of mech bays for the day. It is you know what? I'm not going to try to pronounce that. I'm just going to take a drink and call it good. Akula, MWO, Wild Minx, and Lone Lupus. You win. Oh, so much nicer to just type /W in chat and send a MechBay code than like open a bunch of new tabs and send a message that way. Thank you,
Yeah,
Twitch.
I'm glad they added that.
Oh, best feature ever. It's the little things, you know? Those little things. So I'm curious, what do you think about New River City from like a competitive standpoint? I mean, I know it looks pretty and all, but lots of new stuff there.
Yeah, I mean, it totally plays differently. Like, you can't just sit up top and then look in certain parts of the buildings. 'Cause you can't, before the buildings were low enough, you could shoot over the buildings or jump and shoot. For the most part, you can't do that. At least not as much, but there's also more room for the other team to go at. I think it sucks in a lot of ways because the visibility is horrible. Now, I don't know what changed in this game or what happened, but like, you'll have mechs fighting from one high city over to the other platform where the dropship's at, and you cannot see them from one direction, but the other team can see them fairly well. And I don't think it has to do with the time of day. I I don't know what happened there. That's been a big frustration for me. There's a lot of draw issues too, like back to the early days of River City where stuff doesn't draw right and you can see through buildings and you don't know if you're shooting a building or a mech. Hopefully that stuff gets fixed soon. Because you had actually a pretty stable River City finally, but now some of those issues have returned. So I'm sure they'll get fixed, but I think it's I think it's better like how it plays now. I think there's a lot more that can happen, and I don't think one team has a significant advantage like there was before. But we also haven't had enough matches on it to really know. I don't think we've only scrimmed it a couple times, so a lot of play has to happen to kind of make those decisions. But there's some design issues I don't care for. I don't like those big stones sitting in the river right from the bridge. I feel like that closes off too much of that area, prevents any kind of like range fire from happening there. But the spawns are interesting though. Really interesting to have those sit really far back spawns, and then you kind of get to choose where you're gonna go. Are you gonna go high? Are you gonna go down to the low in the city area? And you won't really know what your opponent's doing off the bat, like you could before. You'd always see them coming, but now they'll be able to make that choice before you ever know.
Definitely, I think it was a mixed blessing in some ways. In that, I don't know. To me, it's like the only map that's like of real quality, I guess. Like, I don't know. Just look at like the geometry on Forest Colony versus the geometry on the new one, where they've really, or just the old one, where they put in a ton of good looking rocks and vegetation, all that other crap. The buildings look more like real buildings. I can kill statues, but some of those draw things, and you're right that I feel like they were a little too ambitious with providing cover. I mean, I know it's an urban map, but like that, the open river I really liked. I did like having at least one lane where there was really long sight lines and you could trade. I don't know that it was a great plan to just close everything off, but whatever. They still got some open areas. I had a fight the other day at the airfield that was actually pretty interesting. Like the whole battle happened up there, like on the runway. Weird stuff.
So I don't know if it's just a stressor or if
Hold
it's
on.
connection.
Yeah, what?
I'm definitely getting robos.
Yeah, geez, I don't know. All right, we got a new TS. So.
Disconnected. Connected. Channel switched. User was moved to your channel.
Is that working now?
Yep.
All right.
That looks
good.
better.
Yep. Had to switch TeamSpeak servers there. That was interesting.
Yeah. So overall, yeah, I agree with you. Just a little bit too much. A little too much cover, but I also like the trees, the knockdown, the statues, the street lights. I like the extra textures. I mean, I can't really tell as much because I run this game on low graphics when I play. But
that is actually probably why you have so many draw issues too.
It is.
I feel like the lower settings have
graphics
some
issue.
really bad draw problems. Like, then again, don't a
Okay,
lot
drop.
of you competitive players do that just for highest frame rate, lowest amount of bullshit, like smoke and crap you don't need to see?
Yeah, I mean, certainly with the effects and stuff like that, it actually gets kind of in your way if you have that stuff all turned up. But they did drop, so zooming in here.
Roger that. So Conquest 3333. If
228 is up 2-0.
Yep. So if they win this, it's gonna be over. AS is taking topside this time. They're up there in blue. And 228th, of course, Direwolves. They've got Novas, Hellbringer. It's only one Nova, 2 Stormcrows, 3 Firestarters. So typical. And Timberwolves instead of Hellbringers, only one Hellbringer for AS. Of course, the rest are pretty much the same. Firestarters for 228th, going under early.
I mean, that's an interesting choice. They do have the Streak Crow going into there, so it gives them some added protection.
And
But,
these 3
to
Firestarters
get
are
that
going to
early
go.
cap lead.
Mr. Petzold might get... Oh, no, they're not going under. Okay, I thought they were going to get jumped by that Crow. AS looking for where 228th is, but they went in the far side.
Yeah, they decided to keep those assaults spawning back pretty far so that they wouldn't have to fight that narrow opening there and just have the same issue that happened to Antares Scorpions. And because they were able to take that midpoint with and having that streak boat as defense, I feel like they've kind of negated some of the other disadvantages that move would normally have. AS has not pushed out very aggressively at all with these assaults. They are now just coming through that gate and turning over to the right side. Bismarck's going to have to get under some cover here. He's taking a little bit of damage.
And 228 is pushing left. AS just sort of setting up in Delta 5, it looks like.
AS has this bridge here. They're overlooking the bridge a little bit. They actually have a pretty nice setup as long as some mechs don't get too far forward on the right, because if 228 decides to get really aggressive on the right, they'll have an advantage. But what you're seeing is the cap. You're seeing a little bit of a conquest fight here from the experienced, I would say, conquest players on 228.
Yeah,
they're
definitely
actually going to go for the 4 cap, I think.
Yeah, they are. They're taking Epsilon now. So at this point, AS really needs to get aggressive. They're down fire starters, and it's got to happen.
Yeah, and they're poking up top with some of their mediums, but they're poking against like everything else that 228 has. And Zarek's down to 73%. They got some in the 90% there. The direwolves are not yet engaged at all. They need to get those direwolves pushed up forward, or else they are just going to basically leave their stormcrows up there to die.
Definitely, I see fresh direwolves. It's like, oh, that fire starter almost got
Pisces
clocked.
take us to damage 76%. One of their Hellbringers, so 220s take pretty good damage, and actually they're in an area that's pretty vulnerable to strikes. So as long as you're on the far back wall, it kind of covers you a little bit from the strikes, but they are a little bit vulnerable to the strikes because they're clustered up. I'm just gonna look at the percentages here. Torok is the lowest at 47%, and Hellbringer, he's lost his Gauss rifle now. He's just left those mediums. His left torso is open. So 228th actually overall percentages looks pretty close to even. Nothing really too big because Zarex and his crow is definitely damaged as well. But Torok is the most likely to die.
Torok is gonna get caught, and I think he's gonna go down here. Maybe not, but he's gonna.
I really like AS's position now, though. They got the high position. They got a little surround position. They do have 228th caught on the outside, but 228th has a huge cap advantage. They have 315 points now to 100 on AS. They're at 4 capping. AS is going to have to put the pressure on, and now maybe they'll try to set up like they did in that last drop, where they actually get outside the gate and make AS have to push
they're going to do. They're going to do.
But I think that they're going to take enough damage here because 2 mechs are now down. Torak and Michaelius are down for 228th. But Antares Scorpions only has, I mean, this is half the conquest game is over already. 6 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. They would have to cap a lot to even reverse this deficit here, so they are going to have to be aggressive. They cannot hold up here too long. I think they should just drive out here and push out here, not even waste the time, and lit 228 to get through their full setup.
Yep, and the fire starters for AS are out capping because honestly, they have to. Regardless of how this main engagement goes, they have to chase down those fire starters and win the cap. And I think that 228th has got this on cap at this point.
Yeah, because they don't really have anything that, I mean, it looks like they might have lost one of their lights. I'm trying to see. See, Mexico, yeah, what's their other third light? I don't see those 2 fire starters, so I'm not really sure. But yeah, if they don't go here now in like the next minute, they are going to lose on cap points. There's no way they can reverse this. Those fire starters aren't even out there capping. They're not even neutralizing.
Jeez. I'm just sort of watching here, waiting for a push. Oh, there we go.
And they do have Theta down. It is 3-2 cap now, and they are banging Sigma. It is going to go in their advantage on the caps. And now the push comes. Looks like they're going to turn to the left. 228th does get that first kill as 228th pushes, or as AS pushes. And now Panic Button gets 2 more kills. But now they are right in the middle. I mean, they're basically in that reverse setup as before. It's a tough situation. But the kills is a little bit different. It's 4-4 right now.
He's about to go down. Aract is putting good damage out. Yeah, looks like they're going to win this main fight here. Not by a lot.
They have slowed down the cap. It is a 3-2 cap difference now.
Yeah, they got 2
takes down Green. But now 228 is getting on Theta. They're going to try to go for this cap. And that's the problem now. These fire starters have to choose for AS. Are they going to push out or are they going to go for the caps? They cannot lose fire starters, though. The street code most likely to suck is going on this fire starter. If they lose fire starters, they are having no way to change the cap situation. Only 4 mechs remain, including this Toro. Only 4 mechs remain for... Or 5 mechs remain for Antares Scorpions. This is really going to be a really hard fight. Let's see what happens here with the caps. And most likely the suck goes down.
Yep, and it's Stormcrow. So now it's Queenblade and El Ducarino in their fire starters. Ed Meister in his 1 shot to leg fire starter. And then it's 2 fire starters for AS and a bunch of assaults that basically aren't going to be able to do much here other than hold down a cap point.
Yeah, they're going to try to hold down these 2 exterior, and then they're going to have their lights try to cap. If they get the 4 cap, so you're 100 point with 3-4 minutes to go, they would not.
I feel like Dave,
Yeah,
it's going to be an uphill battle for them.
Cap, but...
Dragon's Fire might catch Ed Meister out here. I think it's going to happen. We're going in on Dragon's Fire because it's just 1 shot. Oh, he doesn't see him.
Queen Blade and his other teammate there are sitting on Sigma. And they're going to try to full cap that, give as much time as possible.
Ed's about to go down, but I feel like he's just playing the sacrifice right now, trying to suck up this fire starter's time.
Right leg destroyed.
Oh, and he legs one of AS's fire starters.
Destroyed.
That was the sacrificial pawn they needed. Now AS is effectively only down to 1 fire starter. Kafiri for AS in his Stormcrow is capping this back point. That'll give them 4. Still though, El Ducarino and Queen Blade, a legit fire starter team. I think.
Yeah, they're already on
carry it
cap,
out.
and now they've neutralized that. They're going to get that in their advantage, and only 90 points remaining that they need there. It's approximately about a point for every second per cap that you have.
Yep, this is just unfortunately a bleeding death for AS here. I don't think that now that one of their fire starters is legged, I don't think that there's really any hope. Queen Blade, completely fresh.
$228 only needs 4 more points, and they will have only 1 cap to go with about 30 points remaining. AS will have 4 caps, but I mean, they are 260 point deficit. It's going to be pretty close, but I don't think, unless they get something on cap, and they are going to put a Direwolf here, but he's going to be too late, I think, to neutralize this. Because they did full cap that. They need to get some other mech there in time.
And
but I
the
don't
other
think they're gonna have
2, the 2 fire starters are closing in now on Mr. Petzold. And oh wow, 1 shot, he goes down with that side
goes
torso.
down, and therefore he should have, yeah.
Yep.
They're gonna get Sigma back here on their side, and there is no response that 220 or AS will be able to bring here to Sigma. So we talked about it. We talked about the conquest possibilities on this map. Man, that is, see how close that is though? That is really kind of that's a lot of nerves. That's a lot of nerves to go for that, because it does come down to some really just kind of math at the very end, and you don't know what's going to happen with those lights. But 228 did it. They went for a cap strat, and they were able to play a really nice, and they were able to kind of even up the overall fight for the most part, even with those 3 lights running around, and they're able to take the 750 points to 556.
Definitely a well-played game by both teams. You know, you see Defunct up there for 28th with 630, 3 kills. I don't know how to pronounce Chikzu. I don't know. 720 damage, 2 kills on that Direwolf. So well fought by both teams, but you know, 228 basically did what I sort of hoped AS would do this round, where they took control of those caps and made AS go all over the map where they wanted them to. It was close. I won't even ask if these teams are going to play it out, because I'm pretty sure it's like ridiculously late for AS. Whatever, that was a good set of matches. Thank you both teams for getting this scheduled and played and all that fun stuff. So it's going to be 228th versus SJR next week. It's going to be the only match. You guys ready for that?
Am I? We'll see.
What is that going to be on? That is going to be on Caustic Valley.
On
So,
what?
all
I
learns,
don't
right?
even know.
I hope it's all LRMs. But, it should be an
Yeah,
interesting
Caustic
fight.
Valley. Oh, you know, that map sucks. What do you choose that for? No,
I know, right?
Interesting fight. That'll be really interesting in Caustic because it's one of those maps where Conquest can definitely play in. You got a lot of those perimeter caps. We played 228 there numerous times with MRBC, not MRBC, but Merrick Civil War. It's a good map. It's just a really tough one to fight. There's so many of those open areas. You hate having to move in the open, especially with your assaults. So then there's a lot of area issues with capping. You got the big center cap in the middle, which has a lot of cover. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a good fight no matter what happens.
Definitely, it'll be a fun one to watch. It's not my favorite map or like the most balanced map or anything, but you know, it serves its purpose. So just 2 weeks, well, 2 or 3 weeks left, depending on how the final match goes. The first final match goes. The Caustic Valley, then the first final is going to be on Mining Collective, and if the winner of the elimination bracket wins that first final series, then it will go to a second series on Tourmaline Desert. Guess I might as well do a quick recap on this match.
Okay.
Or maybe it doesn't want to change the map. Oh, that's why. It's because this... Why does that not surprise me? Okay. I'm trying to remember exactly how this went down, but I feel like AS came out this gate and just sort of dawdled around in this area for a while, and they ended up taking top. 228's Lights and a Street Crow really made an end run for Theta right off the bat, came out and joined up with their main force, and is that when like the whole main force basically bailed out and the fire starters just kept capping somewhere?
I think the fire starters are already off capping at that point, but yeah. Basically, they seemed to want to see what was going to happen, what time X, I think, Antares Scorpion was taking, and then they decided to pull out as Antares Scorpions kind of got up on the top part. They were fighting from the top part for a while, and actually, I think AS had a little bit, maybe a little bit advantage there. But then, as those direwolves kind of started getting around Antares Scorpions, that's about the time 228 was able to get everything out of there. It was actually a really good job actually getting stuff out there without losing anything. I don't think they lost anything at that point. Maybe in one mech, but
I think they had 2 down at the point where they got out. I can't remember what they were though. They definitely had all 3 fire starters up, but they got out there with not too much damage, and then you know AS balled up at the gate, pushed out. They did end up winning that, and then it was just sort of the cap run around. But I think Ed was. In fact, I feel like he should get 500 MC. I'm pretty sure that watching these matches again, I will probably just retroactively hand out a bunch more 500 MC packs, but I feel like I'm going to give one to Ed Meister because he and his Cherry Red Leg Firestarter, you know, sort of played the bait, got the attention of this AS Firestarter, one of the only 2 left. Got in a little knife fight with him and ended up legging him as well. And I think that was one of the big deciding factors there. Like maybe AS could have pulled it off, but the minute that fire starter of theirs got legged by Ed, and even though Ed died, it didn't matter. It was over. So definitely well played by both teams. Interesting round. Gotta love Conquest for actually playing like Conquest, right?
Yeah, I think anytime that you actually get Conquest to play like anything other than skirmish, it's good. It's good to see teams trying out strats and trying to play an advantage. And you did get that a lot in Merrick Civil War with some of the restrictions, and on some of the maps play much better to Conquest than others. I know we had Frozen City a couple times in this league, so that map doesn't really play very well to Conquest, but like Caustic, with some of the other ones, Tourmaline is another one that plays pretty well to some Conquest strategies, and we did see that happen as well. Where not necessarily it's going to be a point issue, but it's, hey, if you control the points, you get up on points, and now they have to actually kind of push. They have to do something to change it because there's bleeding. So I think that's all you have to really do in Conquest sometimes to create a significant enough advantage to take the win, is just to cause the other team to be bleeding too much so that they have to do an awkward and unopportune and go in places they don't necessarily want to fight from.
I definitely think that, when people are like talking about objectives in this game and how they should be, I feel like Conquest is, depending on the map, a good example of that, where it's not about an alternative to combat. This game doesn't have any alternative to combat in terms of gameplay. There's no like hacking mechanic, there's nothing. There's just running around and shooting people. But it's about how those objectives influence combat. It forces people to go where they don't want to go. It forces aggression. It, takes people away. They have to split off lights to do something like defend a base. And I think that's where good objectives in this game really are. It's those not a lot of times where the map and the game mode properly come together and influence how the battle plays out.
Yeah, and I think, we'll probably see that changing in the competitive scene once we get the ability to play maybe, this attack defend thing that they're going to be developing, as well as I think just once we get private lobbies for community warfare style. I mean, at that point, then you can choose one team as the defender, one team as the attacker, see how to play those. But then there is that objectives there, and there is ways to win other than just killing the mechs. And yeah, I think that'd be really exciting too. I know that they're trying to start up a league on community warfare style, but to actually having the private lobbies, I think you'll see a lot of teams wanting to test that out. Because how do you know who's good at that mode unless you actually can sit there in a private lobby and play each other?
Definitely, and it's just such a mess otherwise. I mean, that's the biggest problem with community warfare, is like, how many good competitive matches have you had there? Shit, whether I'm running, a QQ 4-man or above, it's just like a meat grinder where we don't lose like 10 or 11 matches in a row, and it's not like we're good, we're just there. So I'd really like to see them organize it so that good teams are playing other teams of equal caliber, sort of like the MRBC divisions. I think that's a really good way to do it. I think it encourages good competition and growth within a division that's not just like this demoralizing spanking every time.
Yeah, they talked early on they're going to have this whole bidding system in there so that you would bid to attack a planet. People would own planets. You just have two teams kind of duking it out. And then they said, it'll just be one drop. That's all it was going to be. And then they just kind of dismissed it. So I don't know if that's going to be phase 3 or not. The last time they were talking, they're starting to talk about like phase 4. I don't know, and I didn't even hear it there. But I think that's, if they have something like that where you have that other style of metagame, I think, going on in the community warfare, it'll make like this other competitive scene, because you won't have competitive scene just in leagues, but you'll have it actually within the actual game.
Wait, people are typing overlay. Are they playing one? Are we just totally out of it? Why are you typing overlay? You people know that I'm on a 5-minute delay.
I think they're trolling you.
I feel like they are trolling me too. Like, we've been out of matches for like minutes here. God. I think everybody's trying to freak me out. It's working. I'm so paranoid
It's working
about overlays at this point, so whatever. Well, thank you for casting with me, Mag. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's good. I'm glad I got to cast this match, and congrats again to 228.
Yep, good job both teams. Thank you for getting this handled. Looking forward to SJR versus 228 next week. I will, put a post up about whenever that's going to happen. Try to get that advertised and stuff ahead of time. And yeah, be sure to tune in for that. Tons more mech base to give away in these last 2 or 3 matches here, so be sure to tune in. And guess that'll do it. Thanks, guys. Signing off.